Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode with your girl Audrey Codner from HCG Math Tutoring. Are you sick of me yet? Are you sick of me? This going to a day is really starting to get. But if anything, if it's something that's beneficial for you guys, in order for you to achieve your dream and make sure the world see your goodness, well then let me suck it up, buttercup, and make sure I'm here for you. Alright, so if you are a person that's thinking about getting their GED, their ASVAB, the Accuplacer, or even any kind of standardized testing, then this is the live for you. If you haven't been affiliated with math in a long time and you really want to face your fears but not full force, then this is the live for you. If you are thinking about, you know what, I want to do something and I just want to sit and chill, well then this is the live for you. But if you're a type of person that, hey, math is like, hey, I know how to do this. This is really super easy. This is like, challenge me. Then this is not the live for you. Okay? All right. We're sitting here. We're chilling. I'm dealing with people that never really liked math in a long time. And we're here. We're just going to try to break it on down. All right? So as long as you understand that, I think we'll be all copacetic. Okay. So let's see if I am on. Okay. Trying to see my stuff. Go ahead, as you guys are coming in, go ahead and tap the screen. We know once we get to 1K, that's when I start talking. All right. Hello, Tori. How are you? Thank you, everybody coming on in. Oh, is that Cleon? Shalom. Hey, Leanne. How are you? With Canvas exams? Well, here's my thing. There's so many different types of exams. What do you mean by Canvas exams, Tony? All right. Hey, Jess. How are you? I'm doing all right. I'm very tired. Very long day. Like running around. Well, one, I didn't go to bed. So, did an all-nighter last night. So here I am, just running on fumes. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with it. Okay, good. You're all right? Close but fair. Close but fair. I know, I can never pronounce your name correctly. I just feel like I just want to call you McCoy, but then that's just rude. Right? All right. Hey, Bundles. How are you? All right, thanks for coming on in. All right, so I had a lovely conversation with a client, which if you guys want to have me help you get ready for your final exam, especially if you're taking college algebra, it seems like everybody is taking exams on the 30th or the 31st of this month. So if you need assistance with it, hey, make sure you reach out, because I was able to gain like 6 new people. Okay, in a matter of a short time. I want to fill up my July. So if you're currently enrolled in a college class, maybe you're a high school student that still has to do that summer math packet. Yeah, you know that packet that you just like, I'll do it later. Well, it's time to whip it out and do it now. I can't believe I might get shut down for that. But you know what I'm talking about. So instead of leaving it in that backpack and all of a sudden you have nothing to do, we could probably get it all completely done, maybe in 2 sessions, maybe at most 3, depending on how big the packet is. But here's the best thing. For the month of July, I'm only going to be offering for $47. I usually charge $87 for my services, and I'm going to tell you, I'm worth every penny. And I have a lot of people on my Google business that you can look at the reviews to see what their results are. So if anything, it's up to an hour. We're working on your content, working on homeworks, quizzes, maybe even your final. So if that sounds like something that you really need in your life, and if anything, if there's a whole bunch of people that you know that's in your class that keeps saying, I don't know what's going on, I'm going to fail, I don't want to fail, why don't you guys get together and then we do a session? I'm available 7 days a week. And right now, I had started off with 22. So now we're definitely dropping that number down to like, I think it was 18. No, I can't even do math anymore. So no, it's down to 10 now. Ooh, so we're getting it down to like close to 12 openings left. So you might as well see if you can jump on in as soon as possible. All right, well, thank you so much for the tabs. You guys did more than enough. Let's do in-person tutoring. I wish I can say it's in-person. It's all going to be online. All going to be online. Because I'm helping people right now in Florida, Texas, California, a couple in Maryland, a couple in the Colorados, and I think 1 or 2 in Michigan, last time I checked. So, hey, that you have the internet, will travel. Okay, so what we're going to do tonight, we're doing actually 2 lessons. I know, I couldn't decide because I had a discussion with someone and I said, you know what? I don't have quadratic formula on any of my videos. I thought I did, but I didn't. So, let me see. When we are solving, it is our negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all of it over 2a. Okay, some people say there's a song to it. I don't know it, so that's why I can't sing it. But yes, I know. So if anything, this is what's happening. We are basically having our equation in standard form. So let me fill out the equation here. So we have 2x squared minus 7x minus 9 equals 0. Okay, so this is our equation. And it's in what's called standard form. So in standard form, the number that is the coefficient of the x squared, that's representing your a. The coefficient that's in front of your x, that's your b. And the one that doesn't have a variable, that's your constant. That's your c. So in order for us to fill in this formula, we need to recognize what's my a, what's my b, what's my c. So in this case, my a is going to be a 2. My b is a negative 7. Make sure you get the signage. And my c is a negative 9. So if I plug it in, the reason why you're doing this is because you're trying to find the solutions. You're trying to find where is this quadratic, okay, the parabola, where is this parabola going to cross the x-axis? What is my solutions? What is my roots? What is my zeros? That's what you're trying to find. So quadratic formula is used to really do solving, whereas the factoring is going to be that simplification. Okay? So we have our x values because that's what we're looking for. Where is it crossing the x-axis, or if any at all? Then we're plugging in. So I like to say a minus sign, and I put a parenthesis, plus minus the square root of my b squared minus 4 times my a times my c all over, slide that over, 2a. Okay. So the easiest thing for me to remember is that I know that I use the A and the B twice in this formula, and I only use the C once. So I always start off with my B's. On the diagonals, I have my A's, and we end with the C. So in this case, my B's is a -7. Notice when I put the parentheses, it's going completely around the -7. My A's is going to be the 2's. And I only use the C once. Now, this is the part that gets everyone, okay? This is the part that gets everyone each and every time. When they plug in a negative number for the B, they totally forget that the original has a negative B. So they're thinking, oh, I could just plug in a -7. All right, so this part's going to be -7. No. And this gets everybody each and every time. I can't imagine how many people have lost so many points because of this. When you substitute, you're just substituting in for the B, okay? Not the sign of the B, just the B. When I substitute here, I'm just substituting for the B. When I substitute here, I'm just substituting for A. And when I substitute here, I'm just substituting for the C. So I have to get the right signage. So now, ready to go on a long journey? A negative times a negative will give me a positive. Bring down the plus minus. Then I have my square root. Now, I need to take the square of -7. So that means -7 times -7. Okay? All right. All right, Bella. Hopefully I can get you this time. So -7 times -7. So think about it. We're not just squaring the 7. And this is what a lot of you guys do, especially if you put it in the calculator. This is exactly what you do. When you put in the calculator, let me see if I can get my shape on. When you plug it in the calculator, you just push -7 and you square it and you hit enter. And you're like, oh, my answer is -49. No. You need to put parentheses around that bad boy. Because this is, they took the 7, they squared it. That was 7 times 7. That's where the 49 came from. And then they tacked on the negative. But when you put parentheses around it, whoa, now we got a positive 49. Because what you did was you multiplied -7 to itself. So it was -7 times -7. A negative times a negative gives me a positive. So this is why the power of parentheses should compel you. All right. Okay. So even when you can be in class and you can use a calculator, when you plugging in negative numbers, always use parentheses. Okay. I just use it. It's a natural thing now. So now, -7 squared, that's -7 times -7. That gives me a positive 49. So now I have this -4 times 2 times -9. So, order of operation, we're going from left to right. This minus sign is acting as a negative for that 4. So a negative times a positive gives me a negative. 4 times 2 gives me 8. So right here, I have a -8. Then -8 times -9. A negative times a negative gives me a positive. 8 times 9 gives me 72. And we're putting this over 2 times 2, which is simply 4. Okay. Now, I would love to say we're done, but we're not. I'm going to see if I put a little space in between here. So now we need to simplify this even more. Okay, so we have, especially under the radical, we have our 49 and our 72. So 49 and 72, that gives me 121. So we have our positive 7 plus or minus the square root of 121 over 4. Okay. Yep. So, square root of 121. If you do not have that in your lovely little brains, this is why I developed this math notebook. Okay? So, 121. If I scroll up here, here we go. 121, it's blue. So when it's blue, that's telling me that it's a perfect square. So look at the factors of 121. We got 1 and 121 and 11 and 11. So when I see double numbers, that means it is a perfect square root. So the square root of 121 is exactly 11. And after you get kind of used to all these numbers, eventually you won't need that factor sheet. But if right now you need a little bit of assistance, use it. Okay? Thank you, guys. So now, we have all whole numbers. This is actually giving us two solutions. And you're probably saying, say what? Okay? This plus minus, meaning we're looking at the positive and the negative of some numbers. I know from the very beginning we were going to have two solutions because my highest degree was to the second power. So if we can, let's write this out into our two solutions. One solution is 7 plus 11 over 4. Okay, that takes care of the plus. And the other one is 7 minus 11 over 4. Okay, and they're both x equals because we're looking for the x values. So let's solve them separately. All right. Okay. Probably because of the holiday. All right. So we have 7 plus 11. That gives us 18 over 4. Now, 18 over 4, what number do they have in common? They have a 2 in common. Okay? Both of 18 and 4 are both even. So it can be reduced by 2. So 8 divided by 2, that's 9. 4 divided by 2, that's 2. So this 9 halves is one of your solutions for our quadratic. Let me shift. I know, sometimes I used to say, they're like, ooh, she's cursing. I'm like, no, I can curse you out if you want me to. But I don't feel like it. Okay, so we have 7 minus 11. That gives me a negative 4. And negative 4 over 4. So negative 4 divided by 4, that gives me a whole number of negative 1. So these are two potential solutions. I knew that we were going to have two potential solutions. Have you ever heard of the word discriminant? The discriminant. Have we heard of it? Thank you, Arian. Yes, this is definitely on the test. You're going to have like one question like this. Anything that has to deal with factoring And then later on, we're going to work a little bit with equation of the line. Those are 4-point questions, Beth. We don't want to give those things up. Okay, you heard of it today, Bella? Okay. All right. Oh, thank you. Now, I know, but we're going to it. Your discriminant is basically what's underneath that square root symbol. Now, if your discriminant is greater than, if it's positive, basically, if it gives you a positive result, we're not even going to go with greater than, less than. Let's just get to nitty gritty. If it's positive, you're going to have 2 real results. Okay, so if your discriminant is positive, that means what's underneath that square root. And we got a positive 121. So when it's a positive number, you're going to end up with 2 real solutions. Okay, real, it could be whole numbers, counting numbers, fractions, decimals. Well, repeating decimals, something with decimals with a definite end. Okay, like 0.625. Boom, definite end, those type of things. If it equals 0, you're going to have 1 real solution. When I was teaching, it was called as a double 0. Because what happens is the graph just kisses the x-axis. And it was counted as 2 solutions. So like if it looked like this, boom, just kind of just gently kisses the x-axis. And usually when you kiss with 2 lips. If not, get it together. Okay, so that point where it crosses, where it hits or it bounces off the x-axis, that's going to be considered 2 solutions. But if your answer is negative, okay, you are going to get 2, but you're going to get 2 imaginary. I always love this name. Imaginary. Okay, it's 2 imaginary solutions. So you're going to be dealing with graphs that's not even going to touch the x-axis. Okay, it could open up like a cup or it could open down like a frown. All right. Okay. All right. Yes. Okay. So the discriminant can kind of give you a heads up of how many solutions and what type of solutions you're going to get. So if it's a positive number, you're going to get 2 real solutions. If it's like basically equals 0, you're going to get 1 real solution. That means it's just going to bounce. And if you get like a negative underneath here, you're going to have 2 imaginary. Because remember, the imaginary numbers or complex numbers always comes in pairs. Okay, they always come in pairs. Think about it, double trouble, There they come. Yeah, let's go ahead and study. There you go. All right, so if we can, this is basically how you're doing the quadratic formula. Okay, let me zoom out a bit. Okay, so it's that negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That means you're using the b's twice, you're using the a's twice, and you're using the c once. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Don't be discriminating. Okay. Is this where I meet psychology? Yeah, sure. All right. So now let's try another one. Okay. And there are times, like I'm going to be truthful. There are times when they give you a solution, and here's the thing. You can either factor it or you can use the quadratic formula. Me personally, these are the steps that, let me write the steps that I would take, especially when it comes to test taking, right? Step 1. Ask yourself, do I have a GCF? Okay? Something other than 1. Do they have anything in common other than 1? And it can be numbers, it can be variables. So you have to look. So for the one that we just had, we had 2x squared minus 7x minus 9 equals 0. Right now, 2, 7, and 9, the only numbers that they have in common is 1. So I didn't have a GCF. Then I basically go to see, all right, how many terms do I have? So if I have 3 terms, I'm going to go to what I like to say is my AC method. And if you want to know what the AC method is, just in case you're brand spanking new, you can actually go here and you can see my replays of all my lives. Okay? I can't say the name, I'll get banned. And don't type it out because we can't even type the A word anymore either. Okay? So if you go here, you can type search here, and then you can just look for the TikTok playlist. Okay, so I have, since February the 2nd, I've been recording and downloading a lot of my stuff. Okay, so that's where you can go. Let's see. So I would like to do the AC method. Some people like to do completing the square. Some people like to say, screw all this and let me go straight to quadratic formula. It's up to you. Okay, no matter what, it's all being housed under factoring. But always, I like to say, always check to see if you can factor first. Okay, so can you factor? Because when you take these exams, guys, unless you are in a classroom and sometimes your teacher wants to see all your work, but if you're taking the GED, the ASVAB, the Accuplacer, SAT, ACT, they don't care how you get the answer. Did you pick A, B, C, D, or E? Some places do E, some people do D, right? Did you pick that? If you did, awesome, congratulations. If you didn't, try again, okay? That's all they care about. Okay, so when you're sitting here stressing like, oh, I gotta get an A, I gotta do this, I gotta get this final, I need to do this, my future depends on this. Well, here's my thing. You shouldn't put yourself in such a stressful situation because you can't learn in a stressful situation. So take a breath. We're gonna go through another example of quadratic formula, and then we're gonna look at equation of the line because, as a lot of you guys will tell me, you suck at graphing. And guess what? You don't suck at graphing. You just haven't had anybody break it down to you before. Okay? All right. Enough whispering in your ear. Let's get back to it. All right. So let's try one more. And I'm going to make this one a little bit difficult. So can we get it up to, there's 201 people in here. All right. Well, now less. Can we get it up to, let's say, 13K? Can we do that? Can we do a mad tap? Like really aggressive? Like, I don't know about your life depends on it. That would be a bit much. But if we can do a mad tap, I would greatly appreciate that. So we can get more people that are just like, I've been looking for someone like you all my life. And they can say that because we showed up on the FYP. You know, that's the only thing. If I can't show up on the FYP, that's how some of you guys got here. You weren't looking me up. You just all of a sudden dead scrolling and then, hey, this woman's doing math. So think about it. This is how we found each other. Let's see if we can get some other people. And thank you so much for the follows and the gifts and the likes and all that. So let's see if we can get it to 13. I would take 13 if you just keep tapping that. Good. Which is actually easier than... Oh, yeah. Calculus can be easier than college algebra. I have a lot of friends that are college professors, and they all say that. They were like, they will never teach high school algebra ever again. I'm like, dude, really? He's like, yeah. You feel like we didn't finish, but we did. You did. All right. Alright, so we got 4x squared minus x plus 4 equals x plus 7. There we go. Okay. Self-made. I think you might want to get those manners together. Act like you got some home training, baby. Come on. Right, next one. Who raised you? Get it together. Get into calculus being angry. Let me start with that. Yes. Well, plus having a teacher, that just breaks it on down. Okay? Okay. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay? I know you want to get anxious, and don't worry. We're going to get through it. Thank you for that. All right. So, what's different with this? This is an obvious answer. What's different with this? Okay. What's different with this? Well, hello, Milton. How are you? Hello, Muse. All right. Okay. The x has a plus 7. Tutoring. The hardest part calculus and calculus is the algebra. Yes, it is. Yes, bundles. There we go. It's not set equal to 0. All right. Unless, here's my thing. Every time I see my highest degree is to the second power, instantly I always want to say I want to set it equal to 0. The only time you do not set it equal to 0 is when you're trying to do completing the square. That's the only time. And if you're just like, ooh, I've always wanted to know how to do completing the square, I actually have that. Go here, and check out that video that's there. All right? Now, we want to set this equal to 0 because we're practicing doing the quadratic formula. All right? I know there's multiple ways of doing it, but we're just focusing on the quadratic formula right now. So we need to make this equal to 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to subtract this x, line it with the other x, and we're going to subtract this 7 and line that with the 4. Okay? When we do that, the x's are going to cancel out, the 7's are going to cancel out, and it's going to leave me with that placeholder of 0. Now, on the other side of the equal sign, we have 4 minus 7. So if I owe somebody $7, I paid them 4, that means I still owe them $3. Now I have 1x, negative 1x, and negative 1x. So think of it this way. You owe somebody, I don't know, 1 box of, I don't know, crayons. I know, I'm reaching here. Okay, so you owe somebody a box of crayons. For some sick and twisted reason, you loan that same person a box of crayons, another box of crayons. So that means that person owes you 2 boxes of crayons. All right. I will try. So now we have 4x squared. Just comes on down. So we can probably factor from here, but I'm going to practice doing the quadratic formula just for those people that have, I just can't remember it, right? For those people that have, I just can't remember it, right? So from here, we're in standard form. Okay, so from here, we're in standard form. Oh, well, thanks for that. That was cool. At first, I was like, what happened to my screen? That means we need to figure out what my A is, what my B is, and what my C is. Okay. Why do I subtract 7 instead of 4? Because I need for my equation to equal 0. So that's why I need to move the 7 over. Okay. All right. So now, my a is the coefficient that's in front of my x squared, which is 4. My b is the coefficient in front of the x, which is a negative 2. And the c is my constant, which with the sign, it's a negative 3. So now that I got my a, b, and c, now I just have to rewrite my formula. So we're looking at x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times the a and the c all over 2 times a. Okay. So I put my b's then I substitute my a's, and I only use the c once. Poor c. Yep, quadratic formula. Yep, whatever I do on one side, I gotta do on the other side. Yes. All right. So now let's simplify. This is the part that gets everybody, I swear. So we have a negative times a negative. A negative times a negative gives me a positive. I'm going to give myself a little space this time. So we got a positive 2, right? Bring down my plus minus. Bring down my square root. Negative 2 squared. Remember, that's negative 2 times negative 2. That gives me a positive 4. There you go. Good. So now we have this negative 4 times a positive 4. So negative 4 times positive 4, that gives me a negative 16. But we're not done. We're going to take that negative 16 and we're going to multiply it by a negative 3. So a negative times a negative, that gives me a positive. And then 16 times 3 for 48. I love how I do math like that. 48. Been doing this all day. My brain is like, I want to stop. And I'm like, no, we got to keep going. All right, so 2 times 4. The denominator here is an 8. Okay. All right. Okay. So now, let's simplify. So we have that 48. We got plus that 4. That gives me 52. So that means, let me switch colors. It seems to work a lot better when it's that. So when I have my x equals, I have my 2 plus or minus the square root of 52 over 8. All right. Now you're probably saying, 52. 52. Well, 52 is not a perfect square root. Okay, we know that. I hope so. So, handy dandy notebook. So if we got into 52, we got 1 and 52, 2 and 26, and 4 and 13. Now, 4 and 13 is in red. The reason why I put it in red, because this is our perfect prime combination. Because if I just do 2 and 26, I can still break down to 26. Same thing for the 52. Doesn't make sense for that one. But the 4 and 13, 4 is perfect and 13 is prime. So now all I have to do is just come over here, bada boom, and what I'm going to do is break down. I'm going to take it off to the side. So that square root of 52, it gives me the square root of 4 and the square root of 13. Square root of 4 will give me 2. Square root of 13, if I can't break it down, I just simply bring it down. So now I got this 2 radical 13 that can take the place of the square root of 52. All right. There you go. Thanks, Zeb. All right, so that means, let's go. We got x is equal to 2 plus or minus 2 square root of 13 all over 8. Okay. What could we do now? What could we do now? All right, what can we do now? Are we done? Cry? There's no crying in math. Okay, we can factor out the 2. We can simplify. There we go. We can simplify. All right. So that square root of 13 is going to stay right where it is. So when we're talking about simplification, look at that SAT word. All right. We're looking at, let me highlight. We're looking at this 2, this 2, and this 8. They all have, as you guys said, they all have 2 in common. So if I say 2 divided by 2, that's going to be a 1. Same thing with that 2 divided by 2, that's going to be a 1. But take this 8 and divide by 2, that's going to be a 4. Okay, so we're just reducing. We're simplifying it. So now we're getting close to our final answer. So x is equal to 1 plus or minus the square root of 13. And you're probably saying, yo, Audrey, whoa, what happened to the 1? Remember, 1 is always understood to be there. Okay? Then we put it over 4. Now, would you be wrong if you put a 1 in front of that square root of 13? No, you wouldn't. Okay? It's okay. Breathe. Decaffeinated. It's late night. All right? Chill out. So this is representing your 2 solutions. You can leave it just like that. But let me show you what these 2 solutions are. Here's one, and here's the other. One of them is 1 plus the square root of 13 over 4. And the other one is 1 minus the square root of 13 over 4. So instead of writing out 2 solutions, you could just keep it with the plus minus. The plus minus does a very good job of holding true to that. Okay. Yep, I did. Okay. How are we feeling? Okay. You guys feeling all right? Feeling perfect? Good. I like that. Got it. Awesome. Way too smart for you? No. Jennifer, relax. I need for you to change that mindset ASAP. Okay? You know, all it is just we just have to take our time with it. Okay, that's why I try to have a chill-ish type music in the background. Hell, I'm sitting in a dark room with just a ring light on. Like I'm being interrogated. Just to make sure you got this. Okay. So X, one of those. Need to practice this way more. Okay. But see, here's my thing. Like Leanne, unless most of the time they'll just say factor. Like seriously, they'll say factor, but you might get their answer choices might be like this. So if you understand what's getting plugged in and be able to simplify, that's all you need. Like, don't stress, because when you try to stress yourself out and then you try to take this test, you're not going to pass. I'm just going to let you know, because you can't. We're human beings. We cannot, under stress, especially this type of stress, and then put a test on there. You'll be able to recognize and remember certain things, but then you're going to get it jumbled. You're going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to want to quit, and then you're going to shut down. So, to eliminate all that, take a breath. Get those shoulders back down away from your ears. Let me just absorb. Let me see what this is about. And let me see if I can make sense of it. That's what it's all about. Okay? All right. I know. Okay? Well, don't worry. Hey, if you need to go to your bed, please do that. Don't forget. Give me some time. I'm going to upload it. Wow. Zoink. Okay. Give me some time to let me upload it. You can go here and here. It's a free subscription. I'm not bougie yet, so you might as well take advantage of it now. So the recordings will be there. Okay? All right. What level math is this? This is like high school. This is like algebra. Algebra 2, I wouldn't say. Bestie ho. You needed that year off. You needed that year off, because now you're going to see education in a different light than you did when you were in high school. You needed that year off. You needed to observe. You needed to absorb. You needed to be. Okay? So there's no looking back on it. Okay? Don't let society throw you off. Man, day. Okay, this is why your brain hurts. Yeah, because you're trying to absorb so much so quickly. And it's just like, you got to really give your brain some time to adjust. Yep, projectile motion. Yes, definitely. Definitely. Okay. All right. I'm going to try my hardest to... because I wasn't even thinking I was going to be doing this many problems. Yep. I wasn't even thinking about doing that. So, how about... let me try this one. And then we're going to move to the next part. So, let's see if you guys are on the screen. No, you are. All right, so if I do this, 9r squared is equal to 11r. Okay. Yep. Hey, Jason. I didn't forget about you. As soon as I'm done with this live, I'm going to send you all the stuff. I just really did not have any breaks. Yeah, not a problem. Okay, so once again, and you're the reason why I'm doing this tonight, because I looked at my list and I didn't have any quadratic formulas. Shame on me. Okay, so Bella, glad you're still here. Anytime we see an exponent raised to the second power, my equation has to equal what? Anytime I see My highest degree is to the second power. My equation has to equal what? There you go. All right, so how can we make this equal 0? What do we need to move in order for us to make it equal 0? Good. Good, Jess. Okay, good cookie. Thank you so much for the gift, Sasha. Okay, Beth Walker, yes. Jess, yes. Okay, so we need to move this 11R. Okay, Bella, you still with me? Okay, so in order for us to move that 11R, I have to do the opposite. I need to subtract that 11R. Okay, there she is. So when I subtract the 11R, I'm pushing everything to the left-hand side. So if I rewrite this, which I will, it will give me, hopefully with a pen that works. Jip. Like, what's going on? I feel like I'm being possessed or something here. Okay, so we have 9R squared minus 11R equals 0. Okay. So we subtract the 11R. So, what do we notice? And I think someone earlier mentioned it. What do we notice here? I just want to see what people will do. There's no C. Yes, we don't have a constant. But that means if there's no C here, that means we have to have a GCF. What would be the GCF? So we're not going to add the 11 because that'll put it right back where it was. What's my GCF? Okay, so I'm seeing 4, I'm seeing 1, I got an O, I got a 1, I got an O, okay. Okay, Zeb is telling me we got an R. Robert is telling me we got an R. Leanne saying an R. Nike, hey Nike, saying R. Okay. Is that Bampa? Saying R. Okay, Bundles is now seeing the R. The Creative, we're seeing R. Jason, we're seeing R. Mike D saying R. Okay, take a look. So Janice is right here. We got 9 and 11. The only thing that 9 and 11 have in common is 1. All right, that's not going to help us. But then we got R squared and we have R. This has 2 R's. This has 1 R. So they have 1 R in common. So if I factor out that 1 R, what's left inside the parenthesis? You see it now? Okay. What's left inside the parenthesis? I know, it's not quadratic, but I'm going to put the quadratic on next to it. Yes. So we got our R minus 1. Thank you, Neo. We got Jess, 9 minus 11. Okay, don't forget the R. Jeb is saying 9R minus 11. Good. Oh, Bestie, so sorry. You said 9 raised to the first power minus 11. Yep, don't forget the R though, Bestie. So Z is saying 9R minus 11. Good. All right. Thank you for the follow, Mr. Nolan. There we go. All right. So we have our 9, which we're going to put here. There was 2 R's there. We pulled 1 R out. So that means there is 1 R that remains. Bring down the negative. 11 divided by 1, that gives me 11. And there was 1 R here. We pulled that 1 R out. So we don't have any r's remaining. So from here, we can do what's called the zero product property. We did this before. Because basically, these two things are factored. What you just did, you just factored it. So now that it's factored, what we can do is set them both equal to 0. Okay? So we're kind of going into that. I'll show you with the quadratic formula in a sec. So that means we have the r is equal to 0. And we have the 9r minus 11 is equal to 0. Well, guess what, boo-boo? This is already done. Because we already know what r equals. R equals 0. So that's done. But here, we need to add 11. And I need to do this puzzle piece thing. It's the only thing about TikTok that's annoying. Okay. Okay, so when I add 11 on both sides, I got my 9r is equal to 11. And then divide both sides by 9. And then I get my r is equal to 11 ninths. Okay. Okay. So black, why would I square root? Why would I square root? Because if I square root, I'm going to get square root of 11. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. Now, if you did this using same things, but using the quadratic formula, this is how it would go. So if you use the quadratic formula, that means your A, after we solved it to set it equal to 0, your A would have been 9, your B would have been negative 11, and your C would have been 0. Okay, we wouldn't have a C, right? So if we plug it into the formula, you would have negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. So your B values are going here. So that's negative 11, negative 11. Your A values are on the diagonal. So that's 9, that's 9. And we're only using our C once. Okay. So, again, watch this. It's like so paranoid now. I'm like, watch that. Okay, so if we have our X minus a negative, that makes it 11. Plus or minus negative 11 squared. That will give us negative 11 times negative 11. And negative times a negative gives us a positive. Minus what's going on right here? What's going on with this 4 times 9 times 0? What's happening? It turns, yes, Eastern Star, yes, yes, Leanne, Bundles, yes, Jess, yes, Nike, yes, Pitt, yes, Pog, yes. Okay, Ivan, no. Okay, it's not going to be 21. Okay, Mel, good, yes. All right, it's going to turn into a 0. We're multiplying these three things. Okay, you can say 4 times 9 gives me 36. 36 times 0, 0. Goose egg. Okay. No matter the mixture, even if you led with the 0 and you had some 2 other numbers. Nope. Anytime 0 is involved, that's it. So now 2 times 9 gives me 18. All right. So finishing it out, we have my positive 11 plus or minus the square root of 121, which we just did, gave me 11, over 18. So we're getting close to our final answer. Remember, this is representing 2 different solutions. The first solution is 11 plus 11 divided by 18. And the second solution is 11 minus 11 divided by 18. Well, this one's easy to do because 11 minus 11, that gives me 0. 0 divided by 18, that gives me 0. Isn't that the same thing that we got over here? Then we have 11 plus 11, so that gives me 22 out of 18. If you reduce 22/18 and you reduce it by 2, you're going to get 11 over 9. Isn't that the same thing that we got over here? Okay. So I just want you to see that there's multiple ways of getting the same answer. I know you're going to have teachers that are going to be like, I want you to do it this way. Okay, just so they can get practice with it. But there are some teachers that think that they invented math. I used to work with them. Not all of them. Just there's a couple. But when it comes to the quadratic formula, it's by choice. If they say factor, or really, if they say solve, you can solve by doing the zero product property rule, which is basically set it equal to 0 and solve. Or you can do the quadratic formula. Okay? The choice is yours. Okay, insert Common Core and add 146 steps to get to the answer. Yeah, I know, right? Trust me. This is not my go-to. This is, trust me, not my go-to. I'm one of those people, I'm lazy. I'm so lazy. I just like getting straight to the answer. I don't like beating around the bush. Like, well, let me tell you this story. Oh, just say what you want. Just do it, right? Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. All right. So that was quadratic formula. Okay. Again, I designed my notebook. Okay. We've seen the factor sheet. You've seen some of the other things that's in action. You know, if you need something to give you some resources, especially for next year, you need to get yourself organized, guys. You know, that was the whole premise that started all this. I noticed a lot of my students were coming to me and they were just bringing packets to me, and I'm like, all right, so what's your packet say? And they have no idea what to say, right? Oh, you use it right now? Aw, thanks. All right. All right. So to help you get organized, get those formulas underway. Write your own steps. So when you also have like an open notes quiz, you can actually just sit down and write, you know, just be like, oh, here's the formula. Oh, here's the steps. And I tutor a lot of kids as well. Sorry, young men, young women, that right after high school, like as soon as the school day is over, they have to go to work. So they can't stay after school. They are athletes, so they have to go to practice. They can't stay after school to get any kind of assistance. So, yeah, it's a big burden. All right. Right there directly through your website. All right. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Yeah. If anything, hold on that because I am making a couple adjustments. So I'm going to be releasing like my new ones, and I'm going to be releasing a left-handed notebook, and I'm actually dedicating it to my father, who passed away over 8 years ago. Because both my parents are left-handed, and I didn't know that until the rightful age of 14. I was like, wait, hold on, are you left-handed? So I'm like, it was very interesting. So I wanted to dedicate something to my dad, and I was like, why not do a notebook? You know? So, but I'm doing the all left-handed notebook. So if anything, pause until like roughly like the close to the end of this month. I'm almost done. Okay? I'm sorry, Mel. I'm telling you. I hate to say it, but it doesn't get easy. Like 8 years, I felt like it just happened yesterday. And there are days that it really does crush me like that. Yeah, so I'm sorry. But we just hold on to the memories, right? Right? We hold on to the memories, we talk about it, we scream about it, we cry about it, but then we just remember what we did and look at what we're doing. And no matter what, you know, she's proud. She's definitely proud of you, okay? Without a doubt. All right, so to get me away from tears for a moment, let's get into the next part. So the next part is we're going to be working on slopes, okay, equations of the line. That's what we're doing. And I know, because a lot of us is like, I don't know how to find slope, or I don't know how to do slope, and what is equation of the line? And I was like, yo, what are we doing? Okay, so let's find slope. We're going to do it algebraically. We'll do it algebraically tonight just to get started. I think that's what we'll do, and then maybe do a couple of graphs, and then we're done. Okay, how's that sound? Because I'm almost spent. Now, when you're finding your slope algebraically, a lot of people know it as y2 minus y1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. But this works in Asia countries because we read from left to right, they read from right to left, right? So it makes sense for them to go backwards. But you can get the same result if you just do your y1 minus your y2 over your x1 minus your x2. Okay? So yes, you still have your rise or run. Right. Thank you. Right? Needed a greedy. So, So when we're looking at this, it doesn't matter in a sense, but as long as your subscripts, like the ones and the twos, as long as they line up, everything is copacetic, okay? So let's say, for instance, so let's say we have -10, -16, and -13, and +7. And we want to know what the slope is. And just like what other people are saying, slope is also known as your rise over the run. There is actually a song on I think it's called the Slope Song. So if you even do a search on YT and just look up Slope Song, there's a song. I didn't sing it, but there's a song. I remember playing it in class. I was like, what has my life turned into? So, yep. So when you're looking at slope, you can label, since we go from left to right, this is going to be my x sub 1, this is going to be my y sub 1, because this is the first point that I've seen when I started reading from left to right. So that means this will be my x sub 2, and this is my y sub 2. So I'm going to show you both ways. So if I wanted to do it the traditional way of y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, so my y2, why did I make that into a 1? Because I'm tired. Yes, I am. All right. So y2, that'll be a 7 minus a -16. Notice every time I have negatives, I always put parentheses around them. Okay, so it's not 7 minus 16. No, we're going to talk about why it's not. Then you have your -13 minus your -10. So when you minus a negative, it turns positive. I want to take it down here for a sec. Okay, so it turns positive. So that should be like 23. And then again, you have -3 minus a -10. So when you minus a negative, it turns positive. So that means you have -13 plus 10. So that gives you a -3. Oops, sorry. Okay, so good. All right. So your slope, because 23 and 3, both prime numbers, can't really be broken down. So if you can't break it down, bring it down. So this is going to be our slope. Now, to show you the other side, if I decide to do my y1 minus y2, basically reading from left to right and just remembering that my y's go in the numerator, so that's -16 minus 7. And then my denominator is -10 minus a -13. So when I have a negative and a -7, this gives me a -23. -10 minus a negative, so that means that's a +13. So that'll be a +3. What do you notice? Oh, okay. All right. So they're exactly the same, basically. This is still a negative slope. But remember, with negative slopes, you choose which is going to be the negative. Is it going to be the numerator or is it going to be the denominator? But it's still representing from left to right, a falling negative slope. Okay. Yep, so the negative changed. Yep. But it's still a negative slope. Because remember, to be a negative slope, just one, not both, one has to be positive. All right. I think I'm starting to fade. All of a sudden, I just got wham! Just slammed. All right. So let me do, okay, I can do that one. One more, and then I gotta go to bed. Like, it really hit me hard. Like, really hard. Whew. Almost like fell asleep just sitting here. That was so crazy. Okay. So, I need to find my slope. The best way for me to do this is to put it in slope-intercept form. Okay, to put my equation to slope-intercept form. That means solve your equation for y. You want it to be y equals. So if that's the case, if I want y to be by itself, that means I need to subtract the 3x. Because when I subtract the 3x on both sides, 1, I'm going to get y by myself. 2, I'm going to put it in slope-intercept form, so that'll be negative 3x. And then 3, we got that minus 1. M is my slope. So what's my slope for this equation? Just drop the x. There you go. Nice cookie. Nice Kaya. Good, Leanne. Just drop the x. All right, Bridget. Hello, Bridget. Saying negative 3 over 1. I love it. Okay. Can't. Bundles, we have negative 3 over 1. All of a sudden, my brain's like, nope. No. All right. So this is what we're going to do. Tomorrow is Friday. All right. So I'm only on at 1 p.m. So what we're going to do is work more on slope at 1 p.m. And on Saturday, might see if we can do a little bit of functions, maybe even that direct variation, since we're working on slope a little bit, and I'll show you what direct variation really means. And it's simple. If you can get slope, you can get that. Okay. All right, everyone. 1, thank you so much for stopping by. I greatly appreciate it. 2, thank you for taking a look and even thinking about buying my books, supporting me, taking on my I know, my brain is just fried. Okay, taking care of all my courses. Again, if you want private tutoring, if you're taking a college algebra course, or maybe you just need help with your summer math packet, or any kind of thing, except for statistics and calculus. Statistics and calculus, you can go to my friend Robert that's in the chat, hang out with him. YS. What's up, chill dog? Straight chilling. Not a problem. Yes, I'm going to try to. So again, I definitely have some space for July. I want to fill up my July. Okay. Again, I had like 10 people. So roughly like 12 slots left. Okay. I started off with 22. I know, hence the simple math. But now I got 12 slots left. So let's help me fill those bad boys up. Hey, you can't get it at this rate. This is really not that bad. All right. So if anything, where's my other one where people can follow? Yeah, I've completely lost it. Because now I can't find my follow paper. I know. It's going to be like in the simplest spot. And then I'm going to be like, oh, there it is. All right. So anyway, if anything, I know. Yes, thank you. Well, I'm going to download all this fun stuff. But I know if you're thinking about doing nursing, go see a Blessed RN. BLESSED RN. She does great with doses calculations. So if you're thinking about doing nursing and you need that, go visit her. You have Robert is the AP math guy. Also, Main Street Tutors. He does AP statistics for nursing, calculus, AB, calculus BC. Like, that's the go-to guy. All right, so if you want to get that, go there. If you want to learn how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide using Abacus, go follow my friend Lynette. She's learning with Lynette. She's amazing. Love her and her hard work and efforts. And if you want Impact Math 19, she also does ASVAB, GED, and I think Acuplacer as well, if I'm not mistaken. And she goes on during the days for her free sessions, but her evening sessions are her subscriptions. So if you want to get a free session, she's on at 1 p.m. Central Time, which is 2 p.m. Eastern Time. All right. Okay, so we're going to continue on with slope. I'm going to see if I can get myself some rest. You know, possibly go to bed before 1 o'clock in the morning. That would be fabulous. And if anything, I will see you guys on the flip side. All right. So talk to you. Have a great night. And I will see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. for more math and shenanigans and entertainment. All right. Talk to you later. Oh, and don't forget, if you're thinking about buying something for Prime Days, you know, the last day is tomorrow. Tragic. Sorry. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.